For a Power BI developer, understanding DAX context is pretty important. In fact, it is the single most important concept in DAX. Context in DAX refers to the environment or set of data that a formula considers when it is evaluated. It defines which rows are visible and used for calculations, thereby enabling dynamic and data-driven results. And every measure, every formula, every result you see in Power BI is shaped by context. If you understand context, you can reason through any DAX problem. So this is pretty important for any Power BI developer. And there are two primary contexts. One is filter context and row context. And there is something called as context transition too. We are using sample financial data for this example. And we will see at a high level what is a filter context and what is row context. A filter context is the collection of filters active at the moment a measure is evaluated, and it is the invisible set of filters that Power BI applies to your data before DAX evaluates a measure. So it determines which rows in your table are visible to that measure. So it comes from four sources. One is slicers on report page. The second is fields placed on visual access or legends. And the third is visual level, page level, report level filters. And the fourth is filters whenever explicitly passed inside calculate function. So these are the various ways Power BI will set those invisible filters. It applies to your data. And as you can see, there is an example here. This is the card visual. We have gross sales in it. And on the left, you have slicer, which is segment. As long as I don't make any selections in the slicer, I can see the gross sales in the card visual. As soon as I make selections in the slicer, the value will change. This is the filter context which is being applied by Power BI, thereby the visual is changing. This is in a nutshell which is called as filter context. And let us see another example. This is a matrix. In the rows you have segment, in the columns you have year. And for example, if the cell for government is evaluated when the year is 2014, as you can see, Power BI silently applies these filters before sum adds up sales. So you never write a where clause. This is one way of understanding. And the row context is a little bit different. And row context exists when DAX is iterating through a table row by row. So it is like the definition is DAX is currently processing a specific row and reference column values from that row directly. It knows which row it is on, and it is for calculated column, and in iterator functions the row context is applied. And you have to understand that distinction measures do not have row context. As I said, for the iterator functions, it creates temporary row context, like for example SUMX and all those other iterator functions. For each row they create a row context so the expression can reference column values. And this is the context transition. Context transition, when calculate is called inside a row context, it automatically converts the row into a filter. This is an example. Hopefully at a high level you understood these contexts.